Boatbuilding News, the podcast. Let's do it. Welcome to Boatbuilding News, the podcast, a series of engaging interviews with key individuals from within the marine industry. I'm excited. This is going to be epic. I am so excited to welcome Emlyn Jones to the Boatbuilding News podcast, sharing his story of how and why he started Lizard Yacht Service. Hi Emlyn, welcome to the Boatbuilding News podcast.
Hi Ollie, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thanks. Your new office looks really impressive.
Thank you.
So let's dive straight in. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is you do.
So obviously my name's Emlyn. I am Managing Director of LYS. So we are a predominantly parts procurement company with a separate service engineering side of it. That's it, really. I mean, there's plenty of procurement companies out there, but what makes us special is that everybody that is within the company is handpicked in their specialist area. So if ever there's an issue or a problem, we go direct to that one person. We don't get involved with everyone else's work. So you get a specialist for that issue. So that's us in a nutshell, really.
Awesome. You make it sound quite simple, but when I speak to you, you're always busy. You're always juggling so many plates. So how do you manage all of this?
It turns out I'm juggling the kitchen right now. It's having the right people in place. We've got obviously our Spanish office, so I've got our managing director out there, Amanda. She is absolutely capable and really good at what she does. So she looks after that side of things. We've got Freddie in Florida with the American office there in Fort Lauderdale. So, I'm always busy, but I've got really good people to rely on. And again, it goes back to my engineers, Caterpillar trained engineers, John Deere trained engineers. They're very specialist to what they do. So it's good to push things onto them. You know, it's spread the love, if you like.
Yeah. So it's the art of delegation then.
Absolutely. And it's pointless asking me a question. If I don't know the answer, I'll be honest and tell you I don't know the answer. I will make sure that I have somebody within this group that will give you the correct answer.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So Lizard Yacht Service. So Tell us a bit about the history. So how old's the company and tell us about how it started.
So we're in our second year. It started through the pandemic. I got a little bit disillusioned with what I was doing. And I have been talking to a very good friend of mine, chief engineer on a vessel. And we just went for it. It was sort of mid-pandemic, right? Let's do it, And as everybody knows, the yachting industry boomed during the pandemic anyway.
Yeah.
Those 1%ers wanted to live on their boat and they spent more and more money. But that gave us the good sort of stepping stone, if you like. I had a number of vessels that I have friends on that I said to them, look, this is what I'm looking at doing. Any chance you can help us out, just buy a few bits, and it sort of snowballed from there, really. So within the first year, we, as a business, we made a profit, which was great. The second year, we're looking at a 72% increase in
Wow.
turnover. And we've got the management company will be opening in the next sort of 3 to 6 months of full yacht management for accountancy and, going on from there. So that's basically it in a nutshell. I mean, I wouldn't really want to overcomplicate it or, I think it's good customer service, knowing the product, and knowing when to say no.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So knowing when you're not the right solution for people.
Yeah, absolutely. I would rather walk off a boat saying, sorry, we cannot do it, than get halfway through and it ends up a mess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. So was there at any point during the pandemic when you thought to yourself, I'm launching a new company in the middle of a global pandemic. Am I crazy?
Yeah, I think that every day, to be brutally honest, when the guy comes in from another boat, and I think, what am I doing? It's another challenge of finding some kind of fire suppressant sprinkler, or you know, and I'm to deal with these companies globally. Yeah, I would say it was a little bit of a maybe a rash decision, a little bit mad, but um, yeah, I mean, as I say, I still think that every day. I've
Yeah.
gone from being working for somebody for the last sort of 20 odd years, to now owning my own business, and putting my best foot forward, if you like. And yeah, every day is a learn. Is learning. You know. So yeah, it still frightens me every morning, but it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess it frightens you, but excites you in equal measure, way more than being perhaps employed would.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The excitement of that next email that comes in, from another boat that you've never dealt with, and it's nice to get those emails coming in through word of mouth, and captains talk, as we all know, so
Yeah.
do chief engineers, and that's that exciting bit as well. You think, oh, hang on, I've not spoken to these guys before,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's fun.
So quite a new company, but you've already mentioned your expansion to Palma, your expansion to America. So
Yeah.
I mean that's quite rare for a new company to not stay sort of concentrated, where they are. What was driving this expansion so early on?
So originally it was Brexit. Within the first 6 months of the business here in the UK, I had one particular vessel that was in Alaska, and we were trying to send a turbo out to them, which we did in the end. We managed to get it sorted, but
Mm.
the customs and excise duties and things were just horrific. And then we had another vessel that was having a rebuild in STP in Palma. And again, customs and excise sending parts over to Spain was just a killer. Brexit had just ruined it.
Mm.
Um, and I just suddenly thought, hang on, we've got the managing, my fellow director lives in Spain, is a Spanish resident, actually gives us an opportunity to open up the Spanish business there.
Yeah.
So then we it's not a let's try and a loophole, for Brexit, but it was a way of just trying to work out the mess that Europe is in at the moment. I said the mess that Europe is in. We, the UK's in that mess as well, and it's worked. Um, some boats that want parts in Europe are buying from a Spanish office. Those boats that are in the Caribbean are buying from the British office. So we're not wasting money, effectively. So, but yeah, that was the driver behind that. And then I realised, hang on, we've got the ability to open up the office in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, you just got to move forward and keep pushing.
Got to keep finding those. You've got to keep innovating. I think is you've got to keep finding those solutions that perhaps maybe 90% of other people wouldn't. Um,
Yes.
yeah, exactly that. Okay, so what is it about yourself and LYS? What is it about you particularly that you think has been so successful? Why do people come to you as opposed to your competitors, for instance?
The biggest thing that I've looked at that I noticed after talking with a number of captains, and I feel a bit giving away a trade secret here, is the fact that a lot of these procurement companies, I'm not going to mention any names, but a lot of these procurement companies don't have a specialist engineering background. So I have a number of chief engineers that work for us. Again, a number of Caterpillar engineers, Cummins engineers. These are guys that are good in their field. When I get a vessel that calls me and says, look, we need these parts, we've got this issue with the boat, I can then talk to them and say, look, let me know what the issue is. Let's have a look at it. Let's
Mm.
see, maybe you don't need them parts. Maybe you need another part. And we're finding that this is with other companies, that they're ringing up for the parts are arriving, so they're being sent from wherever they are in the UK out to Turkey or wherever. They've gone to fit the part and it's not fixed the problem.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're seeing it as a first time fix.
Hmm.
So we offer that service. So my engineers are on call. I say on call, they don't like to call it that 24/7, but if we get a phone call on a Sunday afternoon, I know I can usually give one of them a quick ring, or we can sort out an issue and actually fix the vessel while they're trying to procure parts.
Oh, okay. So people actually have access to the expertise and knowledge they need, as opposed to just having access to somewhere to order the part that they think they might need, that they actually might not.
Yes, exactly.
So there are perhaps, situations where you suggest alternative parts or alternative solutions that would be more suitable for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we also have the option, okay, you've got the part, would you like us to come and fit it?
Yeah, absolutely that. Do you know, I mean, is that, do people take you up on that much, or do they already have engineers on site?
We have had quite a lot of engineers and vessels take up a number of very high profile boats as well. So it's quite it's a nice thing to do. I was
going to say it must be nice because you see the solution actually being installed and resolved firsthand. So you're almost seeing the job through in the truest sense of the word, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had last year was Antigua, so we had a vessel had a gearbox failure. They said, "Look, can you be on dock tomorrow morning?" I was like, well, "Might be a bit difficult to be tomorrow morning, but certainly within 24 hours we were out in Antigua, fitted the new parts for the gearbox, and the captain was just absolutely amazed. He said it sounded absolutely fantastic. It wasn't clanking and banging. And that was it. We flew straight back, and that
flew straight back. Do you not even take a couple of days?
No.
I was going to say Antigua. There's worse places to have to go to, isn't there?
Yeah, it's absolutely awful. And actually, we were caught on TV with Channel 5. They were filming for Jane McDonald's program out in the Caribbean. And, the worst thing was the only downtime we had was literally a couple of hours on the beach. And as the camera panned around, there was me and my engineer with the captain walking across the beach with a beer in our hand.
Oh, so looking like you're working hard then.
So, but and now that boat procures all their parts from us, but we also look after them with their engineering.
Oh, right, okay. So it's you're building those long-term partnerships, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it? In longevity of business, it's those long-term trusted partnerships. You don't want to be someone that just, sends a part out and, and that's the last you ever hear of them.
Yeah. And there's a lot of those companies out there. And, don't get me wrong, that business model is great. Mm-hmm. But I've got the ability, we've got the knowledge as a group, collective group of people that we can take this a step further. And that's what we've done. And again, it goes further on into the digital side where we're now 3D scanning vessels, doing exhaust designs. So, we're taking that to the next step.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar. If I relate it to my background in recruitment, there's a lot of recruitment agencies out there that are kind of quite transactional. And, you say that, you'll say to them what you want, they'll give you what you want and nothing more. And then you won't hear from them again until perhaps you've got another need. Whereas you get the other recruitment agencies, they're a bit more consultative and a bit more, hey, look, I want to actually become your recruitment partner and for years to come, and constantly be able to consult you a little bit more on your processes, your practices and what's coming up. So I guess it's a similar sort of, you can compare the two a little bit in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touch on recruitment there. That's another arm that we have now that we're just exploring further. So we work in partnership with Yacht Crew. Mm-hmm. So again, any vessel that needs crew, we're able to supply that, via Yacht Crew. We put them in touch, but we put them in touch with a reputable company that we know are good. And again, that builds that relationship there. So we are, and it all leads into what we're trying to do over the next 3 to 6 months is build up the management company as well. So it's all tied in.
Yeah, absolutely. A one-stop shop you're going to become.
Exactly. And I think it's as much as I don't like the term the one-stop shop, but actually a lot of these boats are getting fed up of chasing 25 different suppliers when they can just go to the one person.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. Because even if you can't directly fix their problem or give them a solution, they probably, see you as someone in a position of sort of expertise that would know somebody sort of well connected. Okay, I might not be able to
Yeah,
fix it, but hey, I could recommend X, Y, and Z to fix your problem. So it's just one
yeah,
call to you
absolutely.
rather than their own research they're having to do and countless calls.
Absolutely. And if it's something that I can't do, again, I would say I can't do it, but I
Mm,
know somebody who can, whether it's within my company or whether it's outside. If I have to go to another company, recommend them to the
yeah,
boat. I'm happy to do that. It's about working with each other, not
yeah.
against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, if you take your company right now, your business right now, what challenges are you facing at the moment? What's keeping you up at night?
Um, Other than my smallest, bless her. There's a lot of things keeping me up at night. Just the way the company's increasing in size, the the offices on in 3 different countries. Um, for me now, it's the digital side of things.
Oh,
So
really?
I'm not very good at the marketing side of bits, the Facebook pages. I'm dyslexic, so if you spot a spelling mistake, it's genuine. It is what it is. But yeah, we are exploring this digital 3D twinning. So we literally go on board, we scan the vessel, and that's all we need to do. We can do the rest of the design work here in the office, which is on the CAD computer behind me, and that's giving me sleepless nights because I need to trust the digital scanning.
Oh, of
The
course, yeah.
guys that we use have done work for NASA, so I know they're good. They're suboptimal. They're but I need to. It's a new thing for me of trusting, looking on the screen and knowing that that is 1.3 meters, and actually trusting it that we can measure it, make the exhaust, send it to the boat, and it fits.
Oh, okay,
It's
so it's that trust in sort of new technology.
yes, yeah, and we're trying to embrace it, and
Yeah.
I'm getting there slowly, but it is causing me a few little sleepless nights.
Yeah, it is. I suppose if you're quite a hands-on person, and that's how your brain's wired, and you're one of these people that you have to sort of see it with your own eyes to believe it. All
Yeah.
this digital technology. As much as you could probably appreciate, the benefit of it, and how clever and how great it is. I guess it's
Mm.
still you still haven't seen it with your own eyes. You're still trusting something that's not you and not something you've had a touch point on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was brought up, my father, to when we looked at engines, if there was an issue with a diesel engine, we listened to it, we put your hand on it, you actually diagnosed it that way. You didn't plug in a laptop, which a lot of them do nowadays.
Yeah, that's all
You're
you
not,
do, isn't it? You plug it in.
yeah, and that again, I feel has served me well over the years, is that we can go in. I mean, I can walk into an engine room and I can actually tell you now, especially on the John Deere engines, and we've done it for a number of boats. Straight away, I've pointed and gone, "You got an injector out," and the engineer's looking at you, going, how do you know that?" He becomes sound blind, if you like. It's the
Yeah.
same sound all the time, and that's through graph training, hands on,
Mm.
not relying on a computer. So I'm of that age where I suppose it's not the PlayStation generation, if you like. It's the new guys that are coming through that are wanting that laptop, that plug-in. But that benefits us as well, because when they plug in and it says you've got a sensor on and they change the sensor and it's still playing about, they then ring us.
Yeah. So do you think that's a dying trade? Do you think the people coming into the industry now, is there enough being done to make sure that those skills are being preserved?
I personally, through talking with vessels, chief, not so much chief engineers, it's the seconds and thirds that are coming up now. I think they are heavily reliant on computer systems,
Mm.
and that the days of stripping an engine out, working out how you're putting a piston in, and you ask them what a gudgeon pin is, and they look at you blank. And we are losing that touch, I think,
Yeah.
because, when you're mid-Atlantic and you need to change the injector, you can't rely on a computer's not going to do it for you.
No.
So, I think it's a dying breed. I think colleges need to look more at hands-on, but unfortunately, everything is going that way. It's digital. It's easy teaching, if you like.
Yeah, it's a scary thought though that actually that skill set will, is so much on the decline that it just won't be available, for the next generation of engineers.
Yeah, I mean, I've had phone calls of asking how to change a filter, which for me is a no-no. If you have to make that phone call, you shouldn't be on that boat.
Yeah, it's worrying, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Oh, my
But
goodness.
we're here to help. It's not. I'm not here to chastise that person with it. I'm actually here to help educate. We're looking at doing some education with a chief engineer that works for us, that we're going to put him on some boats soon and actually educate these guys, the seconds and thirds,
Oh, really?
and go through them and start at the beginning, how to change a filter, how to keep it clean, go through the fueling system, the fuel rack and everything, and just give them a bit of confidence. Because I think a lot of these guys lack confidence. They come out of these places, they've suddenly been put onto a 50, 60 metre white boat, and it's bang.
Yeah. Gosh. Okay. Well, is there anything you're not doing? Every time we talk about something, I'm thinking of doing this, I'm thinking of doing that. You've got the teaching, you've got the recruitment, you've got everything going on, haven't you?
Yeah, it's if you've got an idea, try it.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen? It will not work. So you learn from that mistake of it not working, and you move on to the next. I'm not one to sit there and go, what if I did that? Would that have worked? Or, learn from it.
Yeah, I love that. And I relate to that so much because I do lots of things on a whim. So I'll have an idea, usually when I'm running. So this weekend, for example, I had my last long marathon training run to do. And I had an idea midway through. By the time I'd got back from my training run, I'd worked out exactly what I needed to do. And I'm already actioning it this week. So I don't think long enough to be put off from it. And you sound sort of similar as well. You just go for it.
It has its pitfalls, because I could be halfway through something, it'll pop into my brain, and then I'll go off at like 90 mile an hour, sudden turn to port, and then realise I've forgotten what I was doing on starboard. It's
Yeah.
but it leads into sort of like, I explained my favourite quote. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, you can steer yourself in any direction you choose. Dr. Zeus. It is, as long as up here is working,
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Don't let other people tell you can't do it.
That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, because then at least even if it hasn't worked out, at least you haven't got that what if.
Yeah, exactly. And as long as there's not, obviously, you start to think about more when the financial implication becomes bigger and bigger. Luckily, with everything I do, I look at the financial implication first and understand that what can I lose, and that is a big steering factor. But with a lot of ideas, there shouldn't be a financial implication to it. It should. If you think about it properly, it's a bit of common sense, a bit of maybe talking to people who know, and then piecing it together and see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned that you were employed for sort of 20 odd years, and now you're your own boss quite recently. So what's the worst thing about being your own boss?
Being at work 24/7.
Oh yes, I know what you mean.
I try and switch off on a Sunday morning, but when the phone goes, you can't. And my other half looks at me with laser beams, and you're like, yeah, 5 minutes, it'll be fine. And then
It's
an
not
hour
5
later,
minutes, is it?
No, I'm in the office piecing together a wiring diagram for a Northern Lights generator. It is what it is. But then it also has the bonuses. So I can actually lock the door of the office and take my little one to the beach, or take the other two kids out to the park or something, and I'm finding that is nice. So where if I do 2-3 hours at a weekend, I give those 2 or 3 hours back during the week. I pick them
Yeah.
up from school where I can take them to school, and it weirdly enough, my life has become better. I can't think of the word.
Yeah, I can imagine though, because I mean, I've got young children, and sometimes the sacrifices that you make, you can't always put a price on, can you? Sacrifice you make to sort of further your career, you can't put a price on. But I also relate, with like the boat building news, for instance, because I'm not employed to do that, because it's my own thing. I'm overly passionate about it. It's like another child for me. So there's nothing I
Yeah.
won't do. I don't sit there and think, oh, well, no, it's past clocking off time. It is my life. It's not my job, So I get what you mean when you say that, you'll be doing things on a Sunday morning. I'm exactly the same.
Yeah. It's nice. I'm actually getting to see my kids grow up. I mean, my office is actually in my house.
Yeah.
So the worst bit about it is that I don't go anywhere. I don't get in the car. I don't commute to work. I don't.
Yeah.
My commute to work is 30 seconds. So I don't leave the house, and that's the other pitfall. I don't leave the village, other than to go to Antigua or visit the office in Palma.
Yeah.
It's Met. So yeah, but again, it has its pluses. I get to spend more time with my family.
Yeah, which is the main thing, isn't it? So what's the vision? Where do you want to end up? If you've got an ultimate goal, or what's the plans?
The plans are that we will look for pushing the management company in the next, I would say, 3 to 6 months. It might be 12 months. I'm in no rush to push that forward, and then bring on more skilled people into the company, push the engineering side of it. We are looking at having workshops, larger workshops in Palma now, just outside STP, so we can work in Spain permanently. We've got the workshops and things in Fort Lauderdale now. Just generally grow the company. Yeah, I'm just. It's a strange. I take each day as it comes.
Oh, okay. So you don't sort of think sort of too strategically, sort of 5, 6, 7 years in advance.
No, because what's going to happen is going to happen. What will come will come. Everything I plan for is for 6 months down the line. If it doesn't work, then we look at it again. We change tack. It's so going too far into the distance, I tend not to do. It's about the here and now.
Yeah, no, that's got its plus points to think like that, for sure, because you don't know what external factors, like you started the company in a pandemic for a start. We've had Brexit, all out of your control. So for all the best plans in the world, you just don't know what's going to be thrown at you, do you?
Yeah, exactly. And right now, a year and 3/4, well, I'll be 2 years. 2 years this month, actually, on the 14th. Why change something that's not broken? The model's working right now. The relationships we're building. If one of those relationships says in the next 3 to 6 months, let's do this, then let's look at it and have a go.
Yeah, I love it.
But the main focus, the priority is to keeping my customers happy right now. That's where we are here and now.
That's the thing, isn't it? You have to, I suppose, keep one eye on making sure that although you've got desires to grow, that's not at the detriment of your current customer base.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many companies out there that will grow too fast. I talk to some boats and go, oh yeah, they've done this and they've done that, and I can't get hold of them, or their phone system doesn't work, or this isn't right. And I just think to myself, well, that's another customer I've gained. And I'm not going to overcomplicate it. There's no need to overcomplicate it. Just do what you do best, do it right, and keep them happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so So if you think back over the your journey over the almost 2 years, if you've got one standout moment that you think, do you know what, I'm really proud of my achievement there. Do you know what, one thing that sticks in your mind where you think, I've really done a good job?
Um, to be brutally honest, the Antigua job, but it's not a standout proud moment for me. It's proud of my engineers, and this is the
Okay.
thing. So we go on these jobs. I'm proud of what they do for the company. It's not so much me proud of what I do. I am always on the phone to somebody. I'm always doing this. I'm always doing that. But it's when my engineer completes the job and the captain says, "Brilliant, thank you." That for me is the proud moment.
Yeah.
So, and it's the Antigua job was nice, but every job is a proud moment. To be brutally honest,
I
every
suppose
job.
with the Antigua job, you delivered something that they were surprised you could. So I suppose there was that element of, I didn't realise you could do that, and you did. You delivered.
Yeah, a little bit of that. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's quite a lot. People will be surprised what we can deliver.
Yeah, love that.
So, but you know,
Awesome. So, on to my favourite part of the show. So, a bit of quick fire questions for you.
yeah,
So, some of these might put you on the spot a little bit. So, I apologise in advance. If you weren't doing what you're doing now
yeah.
and you could do anything, what would you want to do?
I would be restoring vintage tractors.
You see,
I,
I thought that might be the answer, having spoken to you earlier on today, but I'm not sure. It's still quite a random one.
yeah, I grew up. My father back in 1976, 77 was an engineer for John Deere,
Okay.
um, a farm engineer, farm tech, if you like, for a company in Kent. And I never knew this until I went full circle when I was working for John Deere. It's a farm tech.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so I sort of followed in his footsteps in a way. But yeah, I've always had a passion for farming. Unfortunately, and I'll be honest, there's no money in farming. It's working at 2 o'clock in the morning, putting some
Yeah.
sieves in a combine. It's not fun.
No.
So but I would do it. I would generally do it for free as well.
Oh,
I love it being
really?
in the field. It's just great.
Be like Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah, we
He's living
again
your
just
dream.
absolutely. There's a lot of people, a lot about it that people don't see or understand, and Jeremy Clarkson is bringing that to the masses,
Yeah.
um, and it's ups and downs, and I've had some. I will mind my P's and Q's. I've had some really horrible days
Yeah.
out in the fields, but there's always a nicer day afterwards, and it's the whole experience is fantastic.
Well, there's a metaphor for life if ever I heard one. I've had some horrible days in the fields, but there's always nicer ones afterwards.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so and my next question is, if you had one day, so money and time and money and travel time is completely irrelevant, and you can spend it as you please, where you please, with who you please, how would you spend it?
I would. That's a tough one. I've lost family members and things that I would love to spend time with. Probably, I'm not one for celebrities. I'm not interested in that type of thing. But actually, probably go back to the late '70s. James Hunt. I'd love to sit at a bar and have a pint with James Hunt.
Oh, really?
Just
Okay.
that late '70s Playboy Formula One era. They used to get out the car, light up a cigarette, or sit in the
Yeah.
car and smoke a cigarette. They would thrust a bottle of beer as soon as they come into the pits, and that James Hunt's always been somebody that I would like to sit and chat with. I was fortunate enough to talk with Murray Walker about 8-9 years ago, and that was just a fabulous chat, a discussion with a man that knew so much about motorsport.
So, oh, really? I'm gonna hold my hands up and say I don't know who James Hunt is, but I am gonna look him up after this.
Former Hesketh Formula One driver and McLaren.
Okay.
Died
Interesting. I did not think that was going to be the answer to your question. So you've surprised me there. I love it. That's why I love those questions though, because you never know. It's put someone on the spot, and they normally give you exactly what they're thinking on that moment. So I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, and the final question that we always finish the show with, and I wasn't sure actually if you'd mentioned it before, but what one quote do you strive to live by that always motivates you?
So, as I mentioned earlier on, it's you have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself in any direction you choose.
I love that.
That's by Dr. Seuss. And I find there's a lot of quotes you can live by in a lot of children's books.
Yes.
Roald Dahl, Dr. Seuss and stuff like that. But I think it's so apt with what I'm trying to do is that I think about it and my feet will go.
You'll do it.
And yeah, absolutely. There's no point in sitting back and thinking, what if?
Well, yeah, and it's about you can just do it. There's actually, it's almost removing that barrier of doubt of, oh, I can't do that. It's as simple of, well, you actually can. You can do it. You can try that. It might not work out, but you can still do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it's been a really great conversation. Thank you so much for your time, Emlyn, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon.
Yes, hopefully.
I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, then it would be awesome if you could leave a rating or a review. Don't forget to subscribe so you can listen to us again. See you soon.